On March 11, 2011, Japan experienced the strongest earthquake in its recorded history. A magnitude 9 quake, it lasted for 6 minutes and had an epicenter 72 kilometers east of the Oshika Peninsula of Tōhoku. It immediately triggered a tsunami, and residents of Sendai had 8 minutes of warning to evacuate the area. The ensuing waves claimed the lives of 15,000 people, and hundreds of evacuation sites were washed away in the chaos. At the end of the day, more than 450,000 people became homeless, and the tsunami severely crippled the infrastructure of the country. This is the natural disaster that Suzume is based on, and it's woven into the fabric of this story in many beautiful and heartbreaking ways. Let's talk about that and some other hidden messages you might have missed while watching this movie. Connection to Japanese cataclysms. Suzume mentions a few big cataclysms, namely the one that took the life of Suzume's mother 12 years ago. In one of Suta's books, we also learn of a cataclysm that happened 100 years ago that took the lives of many people as well. In fact, Japan did have a major earthquake in 1923, exactly 100 years before Suzume was released. This earthquake claimed the lives of 100,000 people and lasted a staggering 10 minutes. The cataclysm that took the life of Suzume's mother was the 2011 Tōhoku Tsunami, one that we already talked about in the beginning of this video. When Suzume digs up the time machine box at the end of the movie, she looks at her childhood journal. The date alongside the drawing of the ever after door is, in fact, March 11th, 2011. This is the same date of the Tōhoku Tsunami. Also, when child Suzume opens the door to go back into the real world, we can see that it's snowing on the other side. This is a reference to the snowfall that accompanied the tsunami. Also, Suta, when he falls asleep as a chair, has visions of himself sitting on a beach on that same chair, with the bones of sea creatures laid out in front of him stretching across the beach. This is an obvious reference to the 2011 tsunami as well. Butterflies. Butterflies are shown a lot in this movie. This film opens with little Suzume wandering through the ever after when a mysterious figure approaches her. What's around this mysterious figure? A couple butterflies. Then Suzume wakes up, realizing it's a dream, and what's flying above her head? A couple butterflies. Take my word for it, butterflies are everywhere in this movie, and you'll see them everywhere the next time you watch this movie. The significance of the butterfly is pretty obvious on its face. It's a sign of metamorphosis and change. But in Japanese culture, butterflies are symbols of love, joy, resilience, hope, and freedom. This article from visitjapan.blog writes, "The butterfly's delicate nature has also come to signify fragility, but also strength and courage due to its ability to transcend seemingly impossible obstacles such as death or despair. They serve as inspiration for those facing their own struggles." Suzume is the butterfly of this story, despite losing her mother at a young age and facing really tough odds. Namazu. In Suzume, there's a worm living in the ever after that threatens to wreak havoc on mankind when it breaks through certain gates hidden around Japan. This is taken from the Japanese legend of the Namazu, a catfish living in underground rivers responsible for causing earthquakes. It did so as it swam in underground seas and rivers. It was subdued by the thunder god, whose name I will put on the screen right now. The thunder god had a special stone that, when placed on the Namazu's head, would weigh it down and subdue it. This obviously ties into Suzume's keystones. While I would have loved to see a catfish swimming above the city of Tokyo instead of a worm, I can understand why the filmmakers decided to change this to make it look a little less ridiculous. Cats. I wish I could tell you there's some big significance to the Daijin and the Sedaijin cats that we see that connects back to Japanese culture in some way, but it's not exactly true. Instead, the answer comes from Makoto Shinkai in a Q&A he did in Thailand recently. He said that the cats represent nature. Cats are beautiful yet unpredictable, like nature, he said. The ocean can be a peaceful place when you're on the beach, but it can also cause a tsunami. Also, remember when Daijin becomes weak and disheveled after Suzume says that she doesn't love it? This represents humans neglecting nature and the negative causes that happen because of that. Conversely, when Suzume accepts the cat, it becomes stronger, and this represents humans caring for nature. I also saw the two cats with a lot of yin-yang energy. The Sedaijin apparently possesses Suzume's aunt to the point where she screams and yells at her and makes her cry. I didn't really understand that part, but for me, the black Sedaijin had this, negative energy, this destructive kind of vibe to it. And it could represent the destructive side of nature. The yin-yang circle is a perfect representation of nature, with the positive and the negative and the dark and the light, all of these things. The Daijin represents the positive side of that yin-yang circle. Nature is able to also give us peace and lead us down the correct path, which is exactly what this cat does throughout the entire movie. It's something that Suzume later finds out is true. Nature. There's numerous other visual motifs that appear in Suzume, like the moon, birds, rain, and the stars. When Suzume meets Suta at her home, there's so many shots of seagulls flying above them. And if you remember, birds always flock to where the worm is. In the Tokyo part of the movie, we zoom in on an eye of a raven, and we see the worm reflected in its pupils. The birds can see these invisible creatures. That much is clear. So what does it mean? The fact that the birds can see the worm puts them on a pedestal above humans, in my opinion. They're more insightful, more aware of the spiritual world. And to show the entirety of Tokyo completely sucked into their phones, not aware that there is a cataclysmic event just about to happen, showcases one important message, that we're so out of touch with nature. Suzume also has many close-up shots of plants, foliage, flowers, and grass, both in natural environments and in the abandoned parts of Japan that Suta and Suzume frequent. For me, this is a message screaming to us that nature is always going to win no matter what. No matter what we build or accomplish, nature will tear it all down, climb up its walls, and overtake it in a sea of green. For a movie about natural disasters, it makes a lot of sense to show a lot of nature in your movie, like the moon, flowers, plants, foliage, insects, butterflies, everything. The chair. The last thing I want to talk about is the chair. What the heck did it mean? First, I found it interesting that Suta's right arm is the injured arm, and on the chair, it's missing its front right leg, corresponding to Suta's right arm. I also thought the missing leg signifies the hole left behind when a loved one gets taken from us too soon. So many families were changed forever after the events of the 2011 tsunami, like Suzume's chair. There's a part of them forever missing that they'll never be able to get back. Suzume's director actually talked about why they made Suta a chair in this movie. Apparently, it was a reference to him feeling trapped during the COVID-19 lockdowns as well. They also decided to make Suta a chair to make sure that this didn't feel like too much of a romance movie, and to also lighten the mood a little bit, because this film talks about so many heavy topics. That's all I got on Suzume for today. I wonder what you thought of this movie. What messages did you get? What motifs did you see visually? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Also, I have a free newsletter that you can sign up to. It has all the written versions of these videos there. It's free to sign up. It's free to look at all of the articles. So please join my newsletter so that you get notified whenever I have a new video out. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. This really helps out my channel when you press the like button and or subscribe to my channel. So I really appreciate that if you could do that for me. For now, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.